Okay, so today I am coming to you guys pre-recorded. So hi everybody. I do have a workshop that I'm presenting, and we are almost in the last month of the 3 months, and I want to send them this content. We didn't meet last week because of the 4th of July is a holiday in the US, and I've quite a few people of the US on the course. So they will get this video. So I might share some info or stuff that they need to do throughout this video, which you guys don't have to worry about. But yeah, they will get it pre-recorded for their homework for this coming week. So the topic for today I want to talk about is cognitive flexibility. Now, many of you would have heard that term. You might have heard things like cognitive dissonance. You might have heard, you know, flexibility. Let me get the word right. Cognitive flexibility. Many times we have, I think all of us, and I've been there, I've been one of those people. All of us have people around us that are not willing to see things from a different perspective. It's only their way and the only way. They very hard-headed, right? Really, these hard-headed people that if they come into a conversation with something that they say, they will sometimes, not all of them, even steamroll over the entire group just to get the point across and to get people almost like it gets sometimes so worse that they bully people into what they want. That's still part of not being cognitive flexible. And then you get the mellow people, like, and even kids, they just purely because they just struggle to see things from a different perspective or see other different alternatives. Now, cognitive flexibility is our ability to connect with a bunch of things around us in the environment and then use that information to make a decision. It can be it can be any decision. It might be you need to solve a problem, or you just need to know what you need to do with all of this information. But I'm going to get to some examples. There's a ton of research that they've done around this, obviously, but I want to talk about research that they've specifically done in gamers, which is such a controversial topic, right? Because I mean, I have two kids, teenagers that sit in front of computer games all the time. I think there's a lot of mums out there with kids that have that, and I sort of thought that that might be an appropriate example to use. But anyway, so cognitive flexibility is your ability to connect with a bunch of stuff around you that you take in through your senses. I've spoken about that also in some of my previous videos, that you use your 5 senses to take in information from you around the world, and from your environment, and then to make a decision based on what the scenario or the situation is that you are in. Now, they did a study with college kids. Strangely enough, only women. There wasn't enough men apparently that participated in the study, so only women. And what they did is they used what we would call a real-time strategy game, and the game's name was StarCraft. I need to I'm just checking the information from the study here. And the authors of the study, the study's name is Real-Time Strategy Game Training Emergence of a Cognitive Flexibility Trait. And they wanted to look at cognitive flexibility amongst gamers specifically. And I will explain to you how it sort of ties into what I want you to go and do an exercise after the video. Authors were Brian Klaas, Todd Maddox, and Bradley Love. So what they did is interesting stuff. This study was done in 2013. Obviously, I think even now, we will get a ton more information with all of the technology we have available to sort of literally look under the hood and look in your brain as to what's happening when you are what we would call in these states of flow. But anyway, I'm digressing, back to cognitive flexibility. So they took the individuals, and so the whole idea of using this particular real-time strategy game is, in this game, it's a war game. So there's a war going on. You have to fight against the enemy. But apart from that, and most games work like that nowadays, but apart from that, they are responsible for finances, they're responsible for resources, they're responsible for intelligence, they're responsible for food. So they have to fight the enemy, but they are also responsible for all of the stuff around them that's coming their way. Now, and that's a trade of cognitive flexibility. You have all of these things that's coming your way, and how well can you adjust to that situation? As opposed to shutting off and just steamrolling forward with one idea. So they actually so they have the main, let's call it the main game, and then what they did is they altered the game to took away some of these elements, so that when you play the game and you have to fight, you don't have all of the stuff that you have to think about or to worry about around you. So here we have the game, you have all of the resources, all of the elements that you have to like think about while you're playing the game. This side, they have people that only have a little bit to worry about, not as much. All of them played the game for 40 hours, and they made sure they've installed some stuff on their PCs to make sure that the game shuts down after 40 hours of playing time. And so it was controlled. Now, what they have found is that it was possible. Obviously, the group, I want to say obviously, but no surprise, that the group who had all of these elements that they had to deal with, they have found that the cognitive flexibility is a trainable skill. And the 40 hours, in these 40 hours, and I'm paraphrasing here, they had this opportunity to be in this environment where there was this rapid and simultaneous maintenance and assessments and coordination of resources and things that they had to do, as opposed to the control group. And that was enough. All of the stuff was enough to affect change. And what they've also found is the more resources that there were to deal with, the better the cognitive flexibility enhancement that they've seen in these individuals. All right. What does that mean for you and for me? Now, they've done a ton of studies. You can go and look them up. But number one, cognitive flexibility, and they also talk about I forgot the word now. My goodness. It will come back to me. A big word nowadays in corporate that they talk about, executive functioning. I'm thinking about flexibility, but executive functioning, you would have heard this word, especially in corporate, a lot. Because your executive functioning happens in your prefrontal cortex, right? So this is where you reason, this is where you understand the consequences for decisions that you make. And all of that stuff comes from your prefrontal cortex. Now, when it comes to cognitive flexibility, it's not just one part of your brain that's responsible for this. It's like, it's a bunch of interconnected neurons and pathways that are working together to enhance cognitive flexibility or to display cognitive flexibility. So first of all, it is trainable. It can be trained, especially if you have a child that struggles to see different point of views, struggle to see other options, struggle to see solutions. Know that it can be trained. One of the biggest things that you can utilize to train cognitive flexibility, and if you are an athlete, just as important, if you are a manager, especially working with people, just as important. One of the main things that you can use and utilize to train or enhance cognitive flexibility is creativity. Now you get the, let me call it, the obvious creativity, like you go and you do some crocheting, or you are playing a game, or you are coloring, whatever the case might be. But those, you can go and do that if you like your hobbies, right? You can go and do your hobby, which should trigger creativity, right? It doesn't help you do something and it doesn't really trigger creativity. You should not do something that you can do in your sleep in the middle of the night. That doesn't trigger creativity. it might spark some other ideas, but yeah, I'll go. I think I did a video on creativity, but I'm not going to go into that too much now. But it must really be something that puts you in that place where time passes slowly or quickly for some people, where you sat down, you did something, you were so embodied in the experience, you didn't even realize 2 hours passed. So that type of creativity is what we're looking for here. And so that's that one part of creativity. The other creativity comes about, and I want to give you an example, more like a day-to-day example, right? Not something where you have to go and now pack out your puzzles and sit down and build some puzzles and stuff like that. But the other type of cognitive flexibility and creative thinking that you can practice is when you are in, but this is will require a little bit of discipline. If you have somebody that you work with or you are with for the biggest part of the day, I would suggest to get them in and tell them what you are trying to do, that you would like to enhance your cognitive flexibility. And if they hear you not looking what we would call at the bigger picture or other options, that they will remind you. It is hard to do it by yourself because you can fall into your old habits much easier, much quicker if there isn't somebody that reminds you. And if you haven't done, like I know the folks that are on the course have already done quite some work, quite a lot of work. So for them, it will be much easier to recognize it, even if they are alone. So when you have something in front of you and you need to make a decision, and doesn't matter what the scenario is, doesn't matter what situation you are in, and you have seen the thing and you have seen, oh gosh, this is what it means, because there will be that first thought that will come to mind in terms of, oh, this is what it means, sometimes without you even thinking about it. Just stop there for a moment and ask yourself, what else could this mean? But the discipline comes in there is that you have to take at least 5 minutes, stop everything and ask yourself that question and ponder over that question. What else could this mean? So let's say let's use no, I'm thinking of a athlete example. Let's say you wake up one morning, your body is sore, you can hardly get out of bed, you feel like something isn't right, and you start to stress because you believe that your coach has given you the wrong training. Let's take that example. Extreme, but let's take that example. You believe the coach is giving you the wrong training. That's the only reason why you feel that way. If you stop for a moment and you ask yourself, what else could my sore body mean? You might come up with, I didn't eat so well in the past few days. I didn't sleep well during the past week. I sort of moved my training around because I wanted to go to my friend, and I tried to fit in 3 training sessions in a day, and I shouldn't have. It should have really only be one. So I didn't plan correctly. It could mean, it doesn't mean it is that, it could mean that. So you can go down the list and identify as many things as you can of what can this mean? What else can it mean? The moment you have options that you can play with, and it doesn't necessarily mean that one of these options have to be the answer. It can be a mix, and where all of these options intersect, that can also be your answer. But you won't know that if you sit down and identify what other things could it mean. How do you see this scenario or this challenge or this decision or whatever that you have to make? How can you see this situation from a different perspective? And that's really what you are trying to do, is to try and see it from a different perspective and see all of the perspectives that are out there, so that you can make collectively, with all of the information that you have, the best decision at that point in time. the great thing, and not so much part of this topic, but the great thing about that is you could come up with a completely new novel solution, completely new novel idea because of all of this information that you have, and you get where they all intersect and you pick a little piece from everything. And that's how people are successful. That's how entrepreneurs are successful. That's how new ideas are born and new things are born. So just a side note, but that is really why you want to make sure that you get all the options before you make a decision. And we call that flexible, cognitive flexibility, because you are flexible in your thinking, you're flexible in your mindset, you take other things into consideration, and not just all of your own viewpoints, right? I mean, some people can come up with like 20 different things, but it's still just their own opinion, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about looking at everything around you and listen to other people around you, and then sit and see what is it that you can utilize, what else could this thing that's in front of you mean to you, and you will be able to make a much better decision at that point in time, and the best decision with the information that you have available. So that's where I want to leave you today. Go and exercise that. For the people that are on the course, I will send you additional homework because there are some stuff I want you to complete throughout this week, like we've done every other week. So you will get a document, things that you need to do and play around, stuff that you need to play around with. And I'll see you guys next week for a live workshop again. But thanks for everybody who joined, and be on the lookout for other videos that I will be posting throughout the week. You guys should have a great week. Bye.